Cool. All right. Hello out there in Facebook land now, whenever you're watching me. Thank you very much for joining us. I think we are on lecture 6 of Tea with Mo. Thank you all for these beautiful people. There's at least 80 people here in the centre. Chuckle, chuckle, chuckle. It's probably about 8, but that's okay. The hearts expand, and you know we're reaching so many people around the world. Lectures on non-duality. So today we're going to talk about how life is a mirror, and ultimately I'd just like to bring in this reminder of what these non-dualistic thinkings are and these philosophies are, and then how life is a mirror then fits to that as well. So when we look at a non-dualistic philosophy, basically what we're saying is that that everything comes from one source. A lot of religions have given it particular names. Those names may, in essence, represent a proportion of it or a portion of it, but any name that you give to something that is infinite ultimately doesn't actually encompass it. It can only ever be a symbol of it. We can call it God, the universe, the whole infinite intelligence, whatever you want to give it to. Let's just call it this one thing that everything then comes from. And so when we say that one thing that everything comes from, that means it encompasses us. It encompasses everything. And in a sense it suggests that this one infinite intelligence, this one thing called consciousness as a whole, a non-localized form of consciousness, is represented by these so localized forms of consciousness, which is what we are. So we are an individual consciousness unit, or individual unit of consciousness, which is a fractal of the whole. Okay, and even to the point that there's a lot of conversations that would suggest that we're here to realize ourselves as God, or we're here to realize God, or come to God consciousness and things like that. I'd like to flip it round and actually say God is realizing itself through us. Okay, Alex, Paco, how are you? Hello. So, and when we speak of it from that perspective, then what it does is it gives us this sense that I and life are one. I and you are one. Self and another self are one. They're all parts of the same fractal. So if we've got a mirror and we smashed it and it broke into, say, 100 pieces, each one of those 100 pieces would still represent what the mirror represents. It still has that reflective capacity. And even though those 100 parts of the mirror are part of the whole, each one is their own individual part. And each one of them, as they fell to the ground, would have its own individual perspective of where it then lay. And that's the way that we can then look at ourselves from a non-dualistic perspective, is that we are consciousness that at this moment in time, that we are consciously aware of, is having a human experience. There's consciousness at this moment in time having the experience of a cup, or what I'd call a cup, and I've got some cacao in here, and consciousness is also existing within the cacao. Consciousness is everywhere. It's in the plants, it's in the minerals in the ground. Everything within the universe is a form of consciousness in that particular form, in that particular density. And there's many spiritual texts that continue to encourage this and promote this and explain this even further. The Law of One is a beautiful spiritual text. A Course in Miracles is another beautiful spiritual text, one of the most significant spiritual psychotherapies that I've ever seen. And when we start to feel into these, we then start to see this bigger picture. So this non-dualistic thinking, this non-dualistic philosophy starts to allow us to see that this human experience is in duality. And it falls into duality quite quickly and quite easily because we have this beautiful thing called a mind. And the mind loves to judge things. This is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong, this is black, this is white, that belongs over there, that belongs over there. And it creates separation. And it does it really, really well because its main mechanism, its mode of action is to keep you safe. So you actually want a mind that creates separation. It's wonderful. And I'd even go further to say that self-awareness was the beginning of separation, because I then became aware that I was different to, say, Arthur and Josh and Damien. And then if I'm different, then this is mine, that's yours. So then the separation occurs. And through that separation, we have this self-awareness. And then as we start to become more and more aware of self, we go through these trials and tribulations of many, many lifetimes. So here we are, non-dualistic thinking is going to encompass reincarnation. So if you're not around reincarnation, then this is going to be a big eye-opener for you. And once again, these words that I represent and that come out of my mouth can either be, and or both, a catalyst for suffering or a catalyst of awakening. So notice what's arising within you as these words are then shared with you. So from that non-dualistic perspective that everything is encompassed in the whole, and I need to use hands to suggest that it's in, but even when I think of things from a non-dualistic perspective, it's out. I can't even explain it. I'm just having a go. And I'm using words as symbols to create an understanding of further symbols. So I'm going to do the best that I can. The topic today is based upon the world as a mirror. And there's many phrases that are quite cliche that we hear. Carl Jung said you can't see anything outside of yourself. We don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we see ourselves. Yeah. Of course, in miracles, nothing ever leaves its source. Okay, and life is a mirror, the world is a mirror. The Buddhists had a phrase that your external reality is a reflection of your internal state of being. So many words, many phrases, many scriptures, many religions have spoken about this in many ways. So I just want to pull that apart a little bit further and introduce something that came to me, and when I say me, this vehicle called Maurice channeled some information, and the beautiful words that came out of it is that life can only give to you that which you already are. Now I'll say that again. Life can only give to you that which you already are. And the beautiful understanding that sits around that is, and even the question is, well, what am I then? And if we start to see ourselves as energy beings, so, if we're consciousness, you go, okay, that's wonderful, Maurice, what is consciousness? You go, okay, well, consciousness is this, I don't know, maybe it's a form of energy. Maybe that's what we are. And when we start to look at ourselves and we could start to measure ourselves, that we would be emitting a particular type of energy. And we would also notice that if we were to pass, that energy, that light, would then switch off. Which is interesting, isn't it? So does consciousness continue to reside in this body? Not in the way that it used to. The body itself is still filled of consciousness because it's in different elements. But this energy being that resides within it, in a sense, awareness, maybe it moves on, or maybe it retracts to where it originally came from. So consciousness having a human experience. So if I say life can only give to me that which I already am, then through the beautiful words of Dr. Espen, he said, well, what you are is your most predominant thoughts and emotions that you activate in your days, in a sense, in your moments. Okay, because when we look at thoughts and emotions, they carry a frequency, they carry a particular energy, and that's something that we can measure, and it's something that you can be aware of. So if you're going to say, well, what am I? We can always go, oh, well, I am consciousness, so life's just going to give me consciousness. You go, yes, so that's your essence. But you reside in this physical body, and from a law of one, they describe this as your a mind-body-spirit complex. Okay, so the mind and the body and the spirit. So the spirit is consciousness, and the mind and the body is this. The Buddhists call it the meat suit. Okay, so what does this meat suit? What is it emitting? So what you're emitting is based upon your most prominent and dominant thoughts and emotions that you activate within the moments throughout your day. Now, to go even further, one thing that I've come to realise is that I have only ever lived a day at a time. I wake up, and then I go to bed. And I wake up, and then I go to bed. Every day of my life, the sun has risen, and it's always set. There's been a sunset, there's been a midday, and then there's been a sunrise, a midday, and then a sunset. So one thing I do know is there's a thing that I call days. And one thing I do know is that I'm aware of when I wake up and when I go to sleep, but when I go to sleep, I have no idea what's going on. I might have some dreams where I think I've got an idea, but whatever happens between those hours that I'm asleep, I have got no idea whatsoever. So what I can be cognizant of is the times that I'm awake. Now, while I'm awake, can I be cognizant of what is arising within me and how I'm meeting that? What is the meaning and the association that I'm giving to it? You know, the Buddhists have this term of emptiness, and emptiness basically says that everything is empty of essence other than the essence that I place upon it. So I'll say that again. Everything is empty of essence other than the essence that I place upon it. So I am the one who places essence upon things. I am the one who attributes meaning to things. At this moment, there's a number of people within the crowd. Each one of you have your own individual perspective of this cup because of just where you sit. There's no one in this room that is experiencing this cup the same as anybody else. And each one of you have had your own experiences. We've got men, we've got women, we've got young women, and young women, and old men at the back there. Each one of you have had your ladder of experiences. The way that you've been able to read, the way that you have your own cognitions about self, negative and positive cognition. So the way that you look at this cup will have its own perspective. You're all placing essence upon this cup. All right? And then that is your experience. I have no idea what your experience is. Even if you tried to explain it to me with the most articulate words and the descriptive adjectives, and you were very vocal and expressive within your movements, I'm still only guessing. And I'm guessing what your experience is based upon what my experience is of you. So, you can never know anyone else's experience. You can only ever know yourself. You have always been with yourself each and every one of those days that you've woken up and then you've gone to sleep. How well you know yourself is a really interesting question. Because if you don't know yourself very well, then in the mind-body complex, your brain, your mind and your body are on autopilot. And they're taking care of everything for you. You don't need to think, you don't need to think about thinking, you don't need to think about breathing, you don't need to think about how your kidneys are filtering your blood. You don't need to think about any of that. Everything is done for you. And this comes to a Zen concept of non-duality. So if you're not awake, if you're not aware, then you are running on autopilot. Now, autopilot is going to be the default mode network of the mind. And we've spoken about this before, that we have the triune brain. Reptilian brain, mammalian brain and prefrontal cortex. All information comes through the reptilian part of the brain. It's always going to see data and information as either a threat or an opportunity, and that's where it categorizes, that's where it splits. So if you're not aware of how you are thinking, feeling and acting, then your mind-body does it for you. And it does a great job. But it does it through reacting. It does it through remembering. It does it through looking backwards and looking at all the data in the past and then trying to project it to the future through predicting. But ultimately, it's trying to keep you safe. When you become aware in emotional intelligence, you have some awareness, you practice mindfulness, you start to notice these arisings that are happening for you each and every day. Then you can start to first just notice what your thoughts are. Notice what your feelings are. When somebody comes in your field of awareness, notice what's happening there. And as you start to notice, then you start to notice self. That one thing, that one person that you've always been with all of your life. And for some people it's quite scary. Some people try to keep themselves away from themselves. And they busy their lives in distraction and others and keeping themselves busy, or denying and suppressing, or projecting, and not spending any time with themselves because it's quite scary. So it's not the easiest journey, and this is why they call it the road less travelled. Because the ones that travel this road will be challenged. Because what they're challenged with is themselves. And for some people, that's not necessarily the nicest place. In saying that though, can we use that discomfort? Can we use that pain? And can we start to learn about ourselves? Because what ultimately happens is that this existence on this planet, this thing that we call a lifetime, it's very short. It's very, very short. 82 years for men, average 85 for females. 82 is 30,000 days. Very short period of time. Remember I said you only ever live a day at a time. You've got 30,000 of them if you're going to make it to 82. I think I've got about 12,000 something left if I make it that far. All right? So, bringing us back to life can only give to me that which I already am. What am I? Can I become aware of my most prominent and dominant thoughts and emotions? Yes, I can if I'm aware. And how do I become aware? I notice. I notice the arisings. So all that ever happens in your life is you move around interacting with other selves, forming relationships. All you ever do is negotiate relationships. That's the most simplistic way of looking at life. There's two people that we need to negotiate relationships. One is with another and the other is with self. And this is the one that you want to get to know, because this is the one who travels with you all of the time. And if you can start to get to know self, then you'll start to get to know others much better, because life is a mirror. Yeah. So, life can only give to me that which I already am. Can I be aware of what my most prominent and dominant thoughts and emotions are? Yes, through awareness I can. So I'm starting to become aware of what this unit is. I'm starting to become aware of the relationship that I have with myself. There's two ways to get to know what you are, or in a sense, in what life is giving me. So think of it through the perspective is that life is the light and you are the projector, and what you see in your external environment is the screen. So whatever is played out on your screen that you watch, because you've got this POV, you've got your point of view, and all you ever do is see yourself from first person. And you move around and I'm having this interaction and this is happening, and then this has just then appeared on my space, in my field. So what is happening over here that has appeared is light shining through me. But light can only, so the light is indiscriminate. The light, in a sense, is pure. What this is the filter. And the filter will then show me what this is through my interactions. All right? So it doesn't mean that somebody comes along and there's some narcissistic and you're noticing that and you go, oh, I am the narcissist. It's more so, this person was placed upon my path, I've had this interaction, what am I noticing that's arising within me? Because it's not that life is a direct mirror. What it is it's showing me an opportunity for me to see myself. Yeah? And as you all sat and looked at this cup and had your own experience, the cup is not the vehicle of your experience. The cup is the conduit. It's the mirror. So whatever experience that you have with this cup is you, because you're the one who had it. This cup could be a person. The cup could be a cat or a dog. It could be the guy driving next to you, listening to music, really enjoying himself. It could be anything. And life is beautiful because it encompasses all of that. So, life can only give to me that which I already am. What I am going to see is what I am filtering. And it's going to shine out. I will have an experience that reflects back to me what I am. And in the words of John Singer, Michael Singer, when somebody comes into my field of awareness and they say something, they do something, what can happen, and we use the word trigger and we shift that to what is revealed within me, is my junk. So my junk, so their junk is hitting my junk and it's triggering me. And then I'm starting to notice this stuff and go, whoa, what's going on here? But ultimately the mind will pop in and go, if it wasn't for this person, I wouldn't feel that way. It's their problem. They're the ones. They're the cause. When in actual fact we can thank them for showing this part of ourselves. We don't have to thank them for being an asshole. We could actually go, hey, this is really interesting. This is arising within me. I might need to set a boundary. I might need to create guidelines. But I can also then notice that within me. Maybe I needed to set some guidelines within me. Maybe that's what it was showing me. So I can actually thank that person for being placed upon my path, because what they have done, they have been the perfect conduit of me seeing myself in that moment. And as I thank them, what am I ultimately doing? I'm thanking me. I'm thanking the shadow part of me. The part of me that I think shouldn't be there. The part of me that I've hidden. So whenever something hits your junk, it's showing you your shadow. Which is interesting, because that's part of our conversation tonight at Sacred Masculinity, which will be an interesting one that comes up there. So, if I start to see life in that way, the beautiful kaleidoscope and the richness and the tapestry of this this way of viewing life is that each and every day, because remember, I only live a day at a time, each and every day I get to wake up and I get to be in a state of wonder and go, wow, I wonder what's going to be placed upon my path today that'll allow me to see myself and have a greater awareness of myself and also a greater awareness of others. So I can go through the day already in a state of gratitude, in a state of wonder, in a state of curiosity, looking for these experiences. Not that I'm looking for, I need this or anything. You just go, hey, I'm just noticing. So then you go through and you just go, hey, I'm just going to live my day, and whatever's placed upon my path is going to show me what I am. And then that gives you a good idea of what you are. Can I become aware of the thoughts that I'm associating to this stuff that's arising? So each and every day you get an opportunity to see where you are aligned with love, and also when you're not aligned with love. And when we say not aligned with love, it's about seeing ourselves through the eyes of love. Those shadow parts of ourselves are the parts of us that we have separated from. The parts that we shovel down, put them into the dark crevices, and we say, oh, don't come out, that's a really bad part of me. I was told that I shouldn't do that. We get to see those parts, we get to bring them out into the light and see them for what they are, not what they appear to be. So there's a Buddhist concept there, seeing through the illusion of Maya. So there's lots of ways that we can bring this in, and we start to see through the illusion of Maya and go, wow, look at the falsity in that, look at the untruth of that. And then I can then start to work with that. Now there's a wonderful opportunity. So whoever it was the container that brought you that. You can thank them immensely. Now ultimately, what are you doing? You're thanking yourself, because you are that conduit. And that other self is still a reflection of the one infinite intelligence, that other fractal. Yeah. Even with everything that's going on in this world at the moment, where there's discrimination and separation and injustice, and don't get me started. That's another conversation. I can still love that. I can see, and this was a beautiful conversation that we had today, I can see the people that are of service to self in these moments upon this planet, that they will be great humanitarians in many lives to come, because they will be the experiencer. The ones that create discrimination and separation in this lifetime will be gifted the opportunity to experience discrimination and separation in other lifetimes, and they will advocate very strongly for it, as I advocate very strongly for it now. Because in past experiences, past lifetimes, I have been someone who has separated. I have been someone that is discriminated. And that's why I'm sitting here talking about non-duality. That's the shadow part of me that exists beyond lifetimes, not just now, not just within this lifetime. So this beautiful philosophy allows you to see the wholeness within everything. It allows you to see the polarity of this existence. It allows you to see the catalyst for suffering and awakening. It allows you to experience the full richness and the depth that this earthly experience offers. And it's a wondrous experience. Even when it's shit, it's still wondrous. This philosophy allows you to see it in that way. And that there is nothing outside of you. Nothing ever leaves its source. Carl Jung, you cannot see anything outside of you. If you are seeing it, it exists within you. It's hitting your junk. If you're seeing love in another, that love exists within you. If you see hate within another, that hate exists within you. If you see discrimination, that discrimination exists within you. And you might say, I don't discriminate against anybody else, Maurice. You go, okay, that's cool, but how do you discriminate against yourself? How do you hate on yourself? How do you betray yourself? Right? That's where you want to shine that light. It's not about how you shine it outwards. It can be about that. So, life can only give to me that which I already am. We've spoken about how I can see what I am. How can I be aware of what I am within the mind-body? If you want to see something different, then I need to be something different. Start to recognize what you're seeing, because what you're seeing is what you are. If you want to see something different here, then be something different. What is it that you want to become? So the way that we can do this concept called reality transurfing, I can move to a future timeline, I can go to a particular state and space and go, okay, this is the person that I want to be. This is where I want to be, this is what I want to be doing. I want to see myself enjoying particular aspects of life. Okay, cool. Find that, so just transurf the reality, because there's an infinite number of possible future realities that you can tap into. You just use your mind, you use the visualization, imagination aspect of your prefrontal cortex, because it travels in time. So you use that to go to where it is that you want. Then you tap into the emotional state that you feel at that particular time. As you tap into the emotional state, you bring that emotional state to where this is now. And then you be the emotional state. So if life can only give to me that which I already am, whatever emotional state I am is what I will then start to see. And this is when we're doing the coaching, when we're doing the programs, and when we're just saying, hey, get on with life, is start with gratitude. Gratitude and appreciation. If I am grateful for things in my life and appreciative for things in my life, I am gratitude and appreciation. I encourage people to practice gratitude and appreciation on a daily basis so it becomes your default. So gratitude and appreciation become your baseline. That is what you want your baseline, not your default mode network that keeps you in safety and survival. If gratitude is my baseline, then everything that is around me I can be grateful for. I can be grateful for discomfort, because what can I learn? How can I grow? How is this a gift? Whatever's placed upon my path, I'll be able to see meaning. I'll be able to derive satisfaction from it. So if I use that as my baseline, then things are going to start looking up. Now, if you want to go even further than that, one thing that I've practiced, and it's probably the deepest practice that I've come to the understanding of, and that is the state of fulfillment. A state of fulfillment. And the question and the statement that I say is, in this moment, what more could I ask for? The answer that I ultimately want to hear is nothing. Because if you can say to yourself, in this moment, what more could I ask for? And you go, nothing. I'm fulfilled. I have everything that I need, everything that I desire. And as I talk about that, this is where I feel it. I feel it in the hands, I feel it up the arms and through the chest. That's where fulfillment is. And it's more than just saying it. It's the feeling of it. It's the emotional state. I am now fulfillment. Life is shining through me. I am the filter. It shines through me. It then shines through me experiences that are based upon fulfillment. And that is the ultimate that I've found so far. This was derived from Abraham Hicks, segment intending. What is the emotional state that you want to invite into your days? Tap into it, be it, practice it, remind yourself of it, do a meditation. I think the magic number is 51 seconds. 17 seconds to activate. 51 seconds to keep momentum. If you can be that emotional state for 51 seconds, and if you could do that once an hour, just set your timer to it, feel into fulfillment. 51 seconds, that's the magic number. Every hour, I am fulfillment. And then start to notice how your experiences represent fulfillment. I want happiness, I would like abundance, I'd like to feel the rich tapestry of nature. Whatever it is, tap into the emotion. So life can only give to you that which you already are. What you are is your most prominent, dominant thoughts and emotions that you activate in your days. You only ever live one day at a time. Become aware of what's happening for you, because life is doing things for you. Life is conspiring with you. And as it does that, you then become more self-aware, you become more emotionally intelligent. If you want to change what's happening out here, got to start with this. Tap into the emotional state that is representative of the future reality that you want to experience. Bring that to this. Start to be it. As you be it, you then become it. And life will constantly then give this to you. Cool. All right. Going to start wrapping it up. Any questions, comments, thoughts? Maurice, that was great. Thanks. Yeah. Got that there?
Mind blown.
Beautiful. Cool. All right. Thanks everybody for coming. Thank you for joining me, whether you're joining me now or joining me later. We will continue with Tea with Mo next week. Got a question? Question from the man in the corner.
So, if the ego is outcome-based, is then achieving fulfillment a desire of the ego?
If the ego is outcome-based, then is achieving fulfillment a desire of the ego? Yes. Okay. It is a desire if I'm not fulfilled unless I feel fulfilled. It is a desire if I'm dependent on fulfillment for me to be fulfilled.
But are you trying to achieve fulfillment?
Well, that's what I am. Yeah. So am I trying to achieve fulfillment, or is that what I am? And this is the thing, is that we can still use the capacity of the mind. So the thing is that the mind is not the ego. The ego is the act of identifying. So so even the act of identifying as the mind, then that's a part of the ego. Yeah. It doesn't mean that we don't use the mind, because we're a mind-body complex, spirit-mind-body complex, and that is the concept of, spiritual embodiment. So I'm using this beautiful mechanism of the mind to visualize, to think about something in a particular way, to tap into something.
So who is it that's using the mind?
It's the I am. Yeah. So, and who is it that's using the mind? The I am. Consciousness having this human experience. Yeah. So it's the awareness. So this awareness gets to use these beautiful tools when there is a state of awareness of awareness. Otherwise, then it just becomes another tool of the ego. In saying that, though, and as we've spoken about this before, the law of attraction is still egoic based, yeah. But it's a nice stepping stone to become aware of that, and the ego will constantly want to hop on and go, oh, I can own that as well, yeah. When I get this, I'll feel this. All right, so let's bring that in here, and then I can feel it now, and then it'll be go, what's next, and what's next. So I think that when you're in a state of fulfillment, there is not a what's next. I think that you're more so in the now, and that's in a sense what I've found is this, and maybe and it's sort of like we can use the concept of surrender. Do I need to surrender for me to feel at one? Because then I'm still using the ego.
Surrender.
Yes, rather than just going, oh, I am surrender. Yeah, or what am I surrendering? In the sense in saying, well, I need to surrender something, that means that I'm attached to something. Oh, I'm just going to surrender this. And you go, actually, I'm just aware.
To get spiritual along without trying to attain spiritual.
Yeah.
So,
which is
the mind gets trapped in that circle.
Yes, the mind certainly does, and that's still okay, because it's still this ever-evolving process until you then start to catch it out as well too. Cool, Arthur.
So I've got a question about the mirror.
Yep.
And the sort of the conduit that you speak of, if it's not a direct reflection of you. So say you're coming from a place of love, and that person that you are using as the conduit is very narcissistic. What initially does that say about you when you tolerate that? And over time, tolerate it less and less, but you still feel like you want a level of, I don't know, respect back, you know what I mean? But the reflection, I think, I'm struggling to quite understand what that actually says about yourself. I think it's just showing that you're setting boundaries and distancing yourself from that. But if you're coming from love and someone clearly isn't, I'm struggling to sort of work that out and what that's trying to reveal about, whether it's something that you need to set all boundaries or remove yourself entirely, or how do you use that? What is that saying about you?
Sure. Look, I've got one here that says, "Oh, don't use boundaries." That's this is more so about guidance. So, what was arising for me as you were saying that is the phrase that, "However you would like others to treat you is how you need to treat yourself." So, I would like that person to show me more respect. Thank you. That's what I need to do for myself. And how would you show yourself more respect? You might set a boundary. Yeah. Or, so the conversation that we've had is that...
well, that's sort of what I'm seeing, but that's not really from a place of love, is how I...
Sure. So when you set a boundary, there's potentially this is what I don't want. The other way of asking for it is that this is what I'd like to see. All right. And in saying what I'd like to see, you're honouring yourself. And so rather than saying what I don't want to see, I'm then focusing on more of what I don't want to see, and I can then focus on what I would like to see. And so let's look at that from a quantum physics parallel universe perspective, many worlds, is that I'm activating what I would like to see. So now I'm tapping into quantum realities, parallel universes that represent what I'd like to see, rather than tapping into parallel universes of what I don't want to see. So there's the split, there's the sliding door in a sense, okay? What it will then further reveal for you is what's happening for you. Okay, because a narcissist can jump in front of me and do what they're doing, but it's going to reveal something different for me. So I can't necessarily go, oh, this is the answer to that. It's just you need to be aware of what's arising within you, how you want to. So a classic question is, what does this say about me? And we talk about that from an EMDR perspective. What does this say about me? I'm not worthy, or I am worthy, or I'm not being heard. I'm not being respected, I'm not in control. Because it doesn't matter who's being placed in front of you. It could be, Mahatma Gandhi being placed in front of you, and then something comes up and go, I'm not worthy. It's Mahatma Gandhi, my God. It's something of, rather than, oh, here's the narcissist, I'm not worthy. So it's you and your experience. It's not about them. They can be whatever, but even you in giving them this identity, so your ego's going, that's the narcissist, when in actual fact it's another self that is expressing behaviours that from most perspectives are safety behaviours. So can you then start to see beyond? And I say look over the hedge. It's a concept called looking over the hedge, because the narcissist is the spiky hedge that's in front of you. Can you see over the hedge? Because you'll see a really frightened little kid. And what would you do to that really frightened little kid? You'd give it love and compassion.
That's what I'm saying.
Sure. But who's the little frightened little kid? Is it them? Or is it you? Because then I would then start to look within me and go, which part of me is frightened? Right, so there's every interaction is multidimensional. What's happening for them, what's happening for me, what's happening between us. Yeah? There's not just one answer. And also, it's happening on multiple timelines too. And this is something that, is a beautiful thing to maybe bring to the men's group, because this is something that continually, I won't say it continually comes up, but I would say it comes up in a lot of relationships, because I think we label so many people with narcissistic personalities, psychological boxes. And so why do we do that? So we feel safe. Oh, that's them. You go, hang on, maybe there's a part of me. It's certainly a part of me that's a narcissist, of course.
I think as I've become more aware.
Cool. All right, we might shut this down. And if you want to come and listen to what's happening after, then come here. All right.